All right.
Hi,
Hi,
Junie.
so
Hi.
great to see
Hi,
you.
Junie. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you. So good to see you. And it's been forever.
It's
Helena.
been forever, really. I've missed you, and it's so good to see you back here. You're one of those people that I feel like I've met many times, and we've actually never met in person, which feels
Right?
strange, but here you are in all your
No,
glory. And I'm so happy to introduce you because you are such a amazingly creative person. You are an author and a playwright and a psychotherapist and a writing coach and so many more things. And you're producing, creating things yourself, and you're helping others to create books, for instance. Other things too, I'm sure. I know you help creating songs and plays and what have you. So, you have promised us today to talk about how life matters, how to value yourself as a writer, standing tall in your power as a best-selling author.
did promise that, and I
Mm,
will. I will share that the best I
it's
can.
such a lovely big promise. Now, would you like to share slides or
Sorry, I am in the middle of a move,
no
and
worries?
all I can offer is me. And so, what I will also offer is the thing that I have more of than most people I've ever met, and that is imagination. So, I am going to, as I tell you the words that I speak, imagine your mind, the perfect slide. I'm one of these
That
people
works.
that can't actually see slides while someone's talking. I'm either watching and listening to the person or I'm reading the slide. I don't have a brain that does both, but I wish I had the slides to offer today. I do not. Life was really crazy, and in the
Mm,
middle of it all, I am here fully.
absolutely don't worry about the slides. I sometimes I join as a speaker at summits where slides are forbidden, and it's quite interesting. So let's pretend we have one of those now,
Okay.
where we get to see you. So you also have some interesting gifts for us. I just want to mention those before we get going. A gift for everyone who is here in the room and who signed up is the 8 simple steps to writing your story. That's so great. Would you like to tell us just a little bit about that?
Well, it's from my book, Your Life Matters: 8 Simple Steps to Writing Your Story. And this is a book about writing life stories and writing, or whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you are a person, an elder who's writing their memoir, or wherever you are on your journey of writing, your life matters. And as a writing coach for 35 years, as a writer since I was about 8 or 9, as a therapist, one thing that I have noticed over the course of my life as a writer and all of that stuff is that no matter what people seem to accomplish in their life, they don't think it's enough. And so when people come to me to write a book, a lot of my time is spent on, even after they paid me to take the program, the author mentorship program, or the retreats or whatever it is where I help them to write their books, so much time is spent even after they've committed to know they're worthy, to know that. But this has been said before a million times. Not in your voice, it hasn't. No one can write what you've written. No one has your story. No one has your perspective. Yeah, but I can't spell. I'm not sure if I can write. What if somebody else reads it that I'd be devastated if it's people that I really um, their opinion really matters, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on. We all know that. Everybody who's ever written a book, would you agree, Helena, Anne, about how, or all of you, you can write in the chat if you do, that if you, even no matter what, we go through these times of self-doubt. And so what I do, because I've been a psychotherapist for 30 odd years, I've married those two careers of what comes up when we write books. What are the triggers when we look at our life stories or any part of the book? I mean, I help people to write compelling, best-selling books, becoming best-selling authors. That's so big a part of it. And what I do is when triggers come up, I help the person move into their heart, and I'm right there with them to help them move through that trigger to whatever it takes so they can stand so proud and tall and feel so good about the book that they're holding after the whole process is finished. So yeah, the gift is, I think it's the PDF of this book. I think
Fantastic.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Thank you. And you also have an amazing VIP gift, which is a session with you.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And yeah, because it's one thing to read a book. I have to say, I've published now about 7 books, 8 books, I can't, and got 2 on the go. I got this amazing gift yesterday. I have to tell you about that. Sorry. So, I know it's not all about me, it's about you guys. But I got an endorsement for a book I'm writing right now from somebody I really wanted the endorsement by. I was praying for it, and it was Marcy Shinoff, who is the author of many books. And one of them is Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul. And the book that I'm in the middle of writing is a book of if your, no, I was about to say your life matters. It does. If you only knew, a book of healing letters. But what I want, so I'm so ecstatic about that. So I'm just floating on gratitude right now to be here, to be sharing my tools for all these years. So yes, it's one thing to read a book. It's another thing. If you want to read a book, I want to talk to you. So yes, book a session with me. And so you'll see. Sometimes, people say to me, oh my God, people have been telling me all my life I should be writing a book. And they hear my stories, and I say, great. What do you say? Oh, I think that would be fun. Some people say, it's a dream that keeps coming back. I don't know. I said, well, maybe if it's a dream and it keeps coming back, perhaps it's not a dream. Perhaps it's your destiny.
So, I mean, I know you emphasize the importance of writing with the most authentic voice that you can find in yourself. So, how can
I'm sorry,
writers...
I missed that. I'm so sorry, Anne. Could you say that again?
Okay, so I know you really like to emphasize that the importance of writing with the most authentic voice. So, how can writers discover and nurture that voice, do you think, especially when writing about personal experiences?
Well, what I say, uh, um, there's different ways. If they're writing a book and they're writing it with me, the first draft is only for you, so that you can, and me as a coach, don't even share it, especially with people whose approval you want. Don't, right? Because somebody could just lift their eyebrows. Did that really happen? And it would be enough to shut you down. But it takes tremendous courage for most of us to be vulnerable, to write from that part that's been so afraid ever since you're a kid, you know? And if you haven't healed those parts, I mean, writing a book isn't for the faint of heart. You're going to be out there. There's going to be people that love you, love your book. There's going to be people that are totally indifferent. And some people just, they don't like it at all. You have to have the courage that the message is more important than other people's opinions. And to get back to your authentic voice and how do you do it? Keep a journal only for you. Keep a journal, write whatever, write what you're afraid of, write what you love, write everything that comes up, and so that you can write through to the other side, honoring yourself. Love the parts of you that are scared more, not less. There's so many ways that we have to nurture those parts in us that have been shut down, that lost our voice, and find the courage inside of us. And hopefully, with a great coach be holding your hand. I've never written a book without a coach, ever. I know how to write. I need someone to keep me accountable. I need someone to say, I'm scared, or I've hit a wall, or I don't want to do this anymore, or whatever. Oh, go there. And yet, whatever is bringing you to this summit, you obviously got some interest in writing.
Oh,
And
yes, lots of
yeah,
writers here. And so I'm hearing you're giving us two really, really great tools, the journaling and having a coach. Are there other things that can help us as writers when we face the self-doubt? We have all these negative thoughts, the fear of not being good enough. How can we overcome that when writing a book?
well, some of my favorite ways of doing that is making caring about yourself enough non-negotiable.
Mm.
It's stepping in outside the comfort zone. So many of us are used to, you can't do it, or who do you think you are, or you think you're better than, or whatever those messages are that put us down in the first place, that we've taken off. We picked it up after someone that could be long gone from this planet, even, and we're still carrying those messages. We have to step outside of that place where we're hearing those messages and say, I hear you, but I don't, but that's not my story anymore. I've changed my story. I've rewritten that story. I'm new. I'm not that. And I am, and that's what I value. And we just have to. And I personally, I ask for guidance all the time from the universe, God, creator, whatever. I walk in nature. I am alone with myself to listen to affirmations from people that where it makes sense. Sometimes I just listen to things over and over until they become mine. I say them out loud. I speak into my phone those affirmations with I can do it. Yes, I can. This is my book. This is me. And fake it till you make it. I mean, sometimes that's really the best strategy, is just to gather up the people who are the champions in our lives. We all have them. Every one of us has a mentor. And if that person has left the planet, say, hey, Davida, hi, she was one of mine. I need you right now. Remind me why you loved me. Why did you tell me I was a good writer? Whatever. Talk to those people, alive, dead. A book that inspires you. Oh my gosh, I could name a million of them right now that have been my guides. They can do it. I can do it. And they say that. TED Talks, inspirational talks, your talks, your self-talk.
Very cool. Maybe you can give us an example of someone who's actually had a transformational experience by writing their book.
Oh my gosh, where do I start and with whom? I've written, okay. I didn't think ahead of time. So let me just tune into who among, all right, just came to me. In fact, excuse me, 1 second. This fellow, there are a few things I haven't packed up yet. Lantern on the Longship, Daryl Greenwood. So Daryl and I met, and it was one of those serendipitous meetings. Um, it was at an outdoor market. They own a place where they sell organic food. And I dropped my card, and somebody said, "Oh, you dropped something." And a bunch of them actually fell out of my wallet. And I'm picking them up, and my friend is talking to Daryl, buying some organic food. And he said, "Oh, what did you drop?" And I said, "My card. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt your conversation." He said, "No, well, what do you do?" Well, I told him, and he said, I'm writing a book right now. So it's one of those kinds of magical moments. So we got in touch, and he hired me to be his book writing coach. And he wanted to make it a fiction. He wanted to make it a fiction story. And when I got to know him a little bit, I said, "Fiction's great, but what is it that you're not? Why aren't you owning what you're writing as yours?" Oh, 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 yeah, why am I not? And he did. He started writing his stories. He was so afraid that people wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't believe his story. You know how truth is stranger than fiction? He was afraid that he'd be criticized. I said, "Gerald, there are more people who are walking the same path as you these days than you're aware of." And he said, "There are?" Yes. And so he got to know what that tribe was all about. And his whole world was transformed by coming into his own power, owning his own voice, his extraordinary, miraculous experiences as he's walked this planet. And so that's one example.
That's fantastic. And I just want to say, in my experience, many people are afraid to write their story just because of that. People will think bad of me. They will notice how bad I was. And I say, no, no one's ever going to do that because when they're reading, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves and how they relate to your world and what they can learn from it. So,
That's right. That's so true. The majority of people actually who come to me to write their books, because I'm not one of these people that, write a book in a weekend or whatever. And there are people who are, and I honor them, whatever it is, or a short time. People who know I'm working with them on their inside as well as their outside to get them a number one best-selling book. However, they come to me because they want to share what they've learned to help another person, even if it's one person that they could help, then by their story, then that's what they want to do. People want to hear in someone's story what's relatable to them.
right. And you being a psychotherapist as well as a writing coach, how much are you combining these two roles when you're actually helping someone to write their story?
Completely.
How
It's a full
come,
it's a full integration. Let me put it that
fantastic.
way.
What inspired you to combine them to start with?
I've been a therapist, for my whole career, 35 years or so. And I love helping people move beyond whatever their personal pain happens to be from the past. I've worked through so much of mine. I was diagnosed bipolar when I was 20 years old. My beginnings of my life were not easy. I was in and out of mental institutions. Something inside of my soul said, "You're more than that." And I've had lots of therapy and lots of everything. And so for me to be able to work together with people, I'm a very strong mental health advocate, wrote a play about spelling myths and stigmas about mental illness, madness, mess, and miracles is what it's called. Highly acclaimed, all of that. And so I love when I can help people move to the other side of their pain, and I know how to do it. I've also been writing. The day I hung up my shingle as a therapist, I also hung up a shingle, basically. I started my writing groups. I read Natalie Goldberg's Writing Down the Bones, and I said, oh my God, I could do that. And I did. And I was so not who I am today then. And I remember going to a therapist and I said, I read this book and I think, and she writes like I do. I write like her. I think I could do this. And he said to me, well, have you ever done that before? And I said, no. Well, do you have a degree in writing? I said, no. Don't you think it would take a lot of chutzpah? Yeah, you're right. He said, well, Junie, I think you should go for it. He was pulling my leg. And thank goodness he was, because if he said, well, I wouldn't do it, I wouldn't have, because I needed someone else's confidence because I didn't have my own. Anyway, besides that, so I've been helping writers become authors, and you asked me why I combined them. Because when I can do that, when somebody wants to write a book, and I can help them move through the things they're afraid of. And at the end of it, they come out with their book. They have a book in their hands that takes them, that goes wherever they take it, obviously to the publishers and it goes hopefully worldwide, or they take it on their talks or their seminars or their wherever. Or they're just, I have a saying, a motto, and it's your soul meets you on the page and something shifts. You begin to stand taller. And one day you notice that your voice on the page has become your voice in the world. And for some people, that voice in the world is just having the courage to go and talk to someone they've been afraid to talk to. They're telling their spouse, their children, their best friend, or something that they couldn't say before because they've been writing it, whether it's in a journal or they take it out in the world with a book. And so it just gives me such joy when people to combine the two. That's why I do it.
Absolutely beautiful. And you mentioned in your summit presentation the Socrates quote, an unexamined life is not worth living. Would you care to explore that a little more?
We only have this one life this time around. It's one I'm aware of. And we learn so much. We learn so much about ourselves when we take the time to reflect. So many of us, especially these days, and maybe always, our lives are just, it's so fast paced and there's so much trauma, and we just can hardly wait to get to are we going to get out of this situation today? Especially the whole world's gone mad. And there's so much collective grief and fear and whatever. And you just want to move out of that into the next situation, and you can breathe easy. And then you finally, and then you're on to your next, and who takes time to reflect back how you got there? What are the tools that you're stronger than you thought? And you learn about your life and who has been encouraging you in your life, and who you've helped, and where, how far you've come and from where. And I'm just looking in this book, because I think it's at the beginning, or is it the end? And this is the book that you and I met with. Here we are. This one, Rewrite Your Life, a transformational guide to writing and healing the stories of our lives. That one was endorsed by Julia Cameron. And you, Anne, helped me to certify 6 counselors to be certified to facilitate that, my Rewrite Your Life program. But at the back of this book is T.S. Eliot. And he says, we shall not cease from exploration. And at the end of all our exploring will be to arrive or be started and know the place for the first time.
Hmm. And I just love this concept you have of rewriting your life, like really healing through writing. So, can you tell us a little bit more about how you're working there?
Yeah, I certainly can. We can't change what happened to us. What happened to us happened to us. And it's really important that we acknowledge what happened to us. Truly, we do. We have to, be sad or grieve or, be angry and all of that. But we must not live there. It's not what happens, it's how we respond to what happens to us that's going to make the difference between truly heaven or hell. My young life was filled with a lot of danger and unsafety and a lot of stuff. I didn't just become bipolar out of nowhere. I didn't end up in hospitals for no reason. There was a lot of trauma. And I could have stayed focused on that and maybe died as a heroin addict. And some of my therapists thought, I can't believe you didn't. The point is, I didn't. I rewrote those stories. And I did by looking at the stories, having tremendous compassion for what I lived, and finding in my heart, through a process, forgiveness to the people who hurt me. Now, I'm not saying you hang your what happened and whatever on some spiritual hook before you're ready to do it. But the point is, no, you don't bypass anything. You deal with it, and you deal with it in therapy, or you deal with it in therapy with someone who can hold you, really hold you in a way that you felt heard and seen and acknowledged and loved until you feel empowered enough to be able to look at those stories and see the gifts and the lessons. There are lessons in every story. It's like some of the biggest ones. Oh my God, they come like 2x4s, right? They like, oh yeah, I didn't see that coming, and it crushes you. I mean, if somebody would have said to me years ago when I was afraid of my own shadow that one day my illness, bipolar illness, would become my greatest strength, I would have wondered who the mental illness person was, you know? And now I'm a strong advocate for mental health. I wouldn't have seen it as a gift. And the lessons I've learned, gosh, we all have them. And we all know people who have bypassed their stories. We all have them. We all don't have to look very far today to find the podcasts and the TED Talks and the books of the people who have surmounted their worst travesties to become leaders and to become teachers and mentors and God knows what, to help others get beyond what they went through in the most adverse situations. So I so recommend, and in my book, in this book, and in this one, I mean, this year has been one of the worst years of my life. The first 6 months, I was still battling cancer in 2024, like major. They didn't think I'd live. And here I am, very strong, alive, and humbly grateful.
You are amazing. Yes.
And this book came out. This is Rewrite Your Life Too. Peace Awaits You. And I have to give credence, man, to a lot of that book got written before I got sick. And my beautiful virtual assistant, who's been with me for several years, India, she kept my business alive when the doctors didn't think I'd live. And this time last year, they did not think I was living. I was 90 pounds. They brought in hospice, all that stuff. And she said, Junie, you can do this just for a couple of hours, just 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes, just write another sentence, another whatever. It's almost there. You can do this. And I did. And basically that book, it's my story, it's other people's stories of how they got how they rewrote them. And then it's got in every chapter, I'll open the book. Oh, well, look at that. I opened it at what I was going to say. Let's write. And in here, it's got all the prompts of what you can do. Look at this. This one was it says, oh yeah, how beautiful. This chapter is on teachers and mentors. And it says, has there been someone in your life who impacted it in such a way to make it easier, gentler, better, or somewhat kinder? Someone who took the time to be with you and uplifted you so you were able to look upon the world with fresh eyes. If so, imagine that person in front of you now and begin to recall the day that you first met. How old were you? And you get the prompts no matter what the theme of that chapter is about. So it's a do and done.
That's great. It makes you unstoppable, more or less. You can always find something in these prompts that would relate to anyone, it sounds like.
Truly.
So, and still people stop writing for so many reasons. And we will have people during this summit talking about getting past writer's blocks, but is it just about the writing? I mean, you probably know some of the really deep hurdles that's in there for us.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I don't believe in writer's block. I believe in fear.
Yeah.
Of all those things we've mentioned, fear of not being good enough, fear of not knowing how to spell, fear of somebody criticizing us, fear of, just terror taking over, fear of exposing our deepest truths. So much, fear of having talked to a friend about what you're about to do and you're excited and they just say, oh, that's nice. They don't, there's no enthusiasm with you. They're not holding your hand. They're not saying, oh my God, I believe that so much. I'm so glad you're doing this. Wow. So we need that. There's so many reasons why people get blocked. And it's usually related to some fear.
Mm-hmm. And the fears, yes, they can be probably picked down into little tiny components and not be so fearful. How would
Sorry. How can they
you
break
address
them
fear?
down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be kinder to yourself.
Mm.
Just, one breath at a time. Go out in nature. Do the things that make you happy. Put on good music and dance. Get out of sometimes for me personally, there's things that instantly change my mood around from fear to joy. Babies and animals. I don't have to think, do I like that baby? I wonder what she's thinking about me. I don't know. Do I want to, hug that dog back or that cat or that bird? I mean, I do hug my budgies. Like seriously, I don't have to think. It's like the other thing is music. I will put on the music that will either hold me in a moment or I'm feeling really sad and I'll turn on calling all angels, calling all angels. I'll play the songs that make me feel like I'm being held and comforted, or I will bring on songs that just make me want to get up and dance. Or I'll take myself in nature and just be surrounded by the beauty of nature. And I'm not thinking, I'm in the moment. I'm not bypassing the trees and the sky and the ocean and the leaves and the colors and the smells and the birds. No, I'm noticing. I take myself back to now, this here moment. Little things. Little things.
One thing that's happened to me and many others I know because I'm also a writing coach is, yes, I really want to write. But then there's this life where I have all the commitments, my family, my normal job, my friends, my social life, my garden, everything. And I'm putting this thing that the writing, the one thing that really drives me, that I'm so passionate about, is suddenly down on the bottom of the list. It's not that I don't want to do it, it's just there's no more time for it because of all these other obligations that just feel so much more important because other people told me so. How would you help a writer like that?
Bingo, because other people told me so. Right.
Hmm.
It's basically like anything else. You're not going to miss an important doctor's appointment about your health. Well, this is about your mental health. This is about your soul journey. This is about honoring you. It's basically saying, yes, none of us have time. Time and money, the biggest excuses that people use not to write their book. Oh, but I've got this happening, that happening. Well, then you're right. You won't write your book. If you make it into what I said, if it's a dream that keeps coming back, it's not just a frivolous hobby that somebody said I should do. If you know it keeps coming back, then honor it. It's a destiny. They don't come back. There's a lot of things that I would like to do. Wouldn't that be fun to be I don't know, a good skier? I would love to do that. I'd love to be able to go. It's just not my destiny, but I would love it. I haven't put it as a priority, and it doesn't keep coming back as a dream. But if a book does, you've got to choose like
Hmm.
anything else. And then you find the time, you find the money. And it's amazing when we commit to somebody being us, ourselves, you. It's amazing. Everybody's heard that thing about once you commit, then providence takes over. All of a sudden, the money comes, the time comes, the things come, the support comes, things you've never known. Begin it, boldness has power to it, magic to it. It's there. It's amazing when you put the money on the table, you put your heart, you put your commitment, and you put your schedule in your times to write on your calendar. You just do it. Okay, it's every Tuesday from 5 to 8 in the morning, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, till what which days or times suit you best. You do it. You do it. You do it before the kids get up. You do it first thing in the morning. You do it on the weekend. You do it whenever so you don't self-sabotage. We just have to go beyond that. And if we don't, I've asked people when I talk to them, and you can expect that if any of you who are listening to this want to have that private, conversation with me, I will ask you, what will, if you're, and please don't call unless you really do want to write your book. And if you do, I'm there to help you through the fear part. Okay. Not if it's just a frivolous hobby. Okay. Please. But if you are, I will help you through the fear, through that conversation. And at the end, I will ask you, what is it that you want? What do you need? What do you fear? And what do you hope for with your book? And then you tell me. And at the end, I'll say, so what would it mean to you if you didn't? And some people would say, I'd get to the end of my life and I would regret it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, sometimes with the things that are really important to us, trust me, I know about that. I was lying on a deathbed this year, and I have changed my life considerably. I am so discerning where I put my energy. And I'm putting my energy on two new books. One is called Inspired Escalating Bliss, Inspired by Cancer, and the other one, If You Only Knew, a book of healing letters. So I'm putting my energy with the people that I love and care about and want to be with in my world, that build me up. And that's my clients, that's my friends, that's whoever, but not people that take away my energy. And we have to apply that to books. If we want to write it, choose it.
So
But
very
that makes
wise.
sense. I don't know what I just said.
Oh, it does, and I'm feeling even more privileged that you're putting your energy into this session here today. I find it truly inspiring, and I'm pretty sure many other here are too. Uh, this is profound. Some of the things we've been talking about, the fear, the destiny. The key to finding your destiny. Have you found that?
Are you asking me if I have?
Yeah, or found a
Have I
way to
found my
help.
key?
Either that or found a way to help people find their destiny.
Oh God, yeah. It became my destiny when I said yes to starting writing groups. I haven't always been, helping writers become authors. That's fairly new in the last 15 years. But, 30 odd years being a writing coach, that's my, yeah. And why? Because, like this one, which is another book, here I am, we're showing off, Write Where You Are for people who want to write and don't know where to begin. I mean, my groups years ago, that was the name of the first one, Right Where You Are, the first group I ever held. And it's a play on words, but it's right, you give a writing prompt and you write wherever you are from that prompt, wherever, whether something happened 20 years ago and but it's the energy right now that you're bringing to it. You never know from a writing prompt where it's going to take you. And so it's so beautiful to be in a room with people who are writing wherever they are and sharing their writing. Oh my God, it lights me up so much. Yesterday, I'm moving off island. I've got this thing to move away from Victoria after being here 22 years. I'm being guided to be on this, I don't know, this pilgrimage, this on the 21st of December, I leave Victoria on what I'm calling my solstice pilgrimage called Trust. Don't really know exactly where I'm going, but I do in
Oh,
another way.
interesting.
But I just want to say that I just said goodbye yesterday to a group of people. I help writers write their stories at two seniors' homes here in Victoria. And said goodbye to a bunch of seniors. And oh my God, yes, it is my destiny. I found mine. Listening to tell their memoirs over these years. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm happy. Can you tell?
Can definitely tell you're completely beaming. Thank you so much. Now, one last question. What's the one takeaway you want people to have from your speech today?
Oh, please don't call it a speech.
Well, our little
An
interview,
interview. Okay.
our session
No,
of
I'm sorry.
true
Yeah. What do
inspiration.
I want from? Okay. Um, okay, I'll just say the first thing that came up. Believe in yourself. Okay.
Thank you.
Because why? Your life matters. You matter. You matter. Find the courage to just say yes to yourself. That's no matter what it is, no matter what it is, no matter what your art form, say yes to you. Be telling, yeah,
Thank
that's what
you.
I would say.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Junie. This was empowering.
Very much
Thank
so. And
Yeah,
if the audience have any questions right now, please come forward.
I can see Deborah has written, Junie has a special gift of recognizing the nuances of the words people put on the page in her writing group. So, yeah.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you.
Batil says, you're wonderful, Junie.
I'm a mirror.
Mm. You have
That's your mirror. Thank you.
a lot of thank yous and inspirational messages here. So thank you so very much, Junie.
Thank
You're
you.
so welcome.
So I'm gonna stop this